before his run was stopped short at the World Championships. And I'll tell you what, Hoej is a player who likes to get aggressive. Who likes to get aggressive. You know, teammates alongside 6-0.
In 2016, I forget which playoff it was, but he was on the other end of Sinto burning his Archmage Antonidas with a handful of coins about to win the game. And that RastaFish will forever be ingrained into my memory because of that moment.
The rage and fury from Sinto in that moment. Oh, it was so pure.
And just the sly smile from RastaFish. That's it.
That's part of what I love about competition is when players, you get to see their emotion and how much it means to them to compete in these tournaments.
Yeah.
A little tired TJ.
I love it. But we're going to be seeing game number 1, which is Darroch Brown versus the secret mid-rangey,
the hybrid hunter.
Beat you down hunter.
Yeah, it's got a copy of Subject 9 in here, and as you can imagine, a lot of secrets and spellstones. But the thing I find really interesting about RastaFish's Subject 9 deck is that it's just a lot of one-of secrets. He's not running, you know, 2 explosive trap, 2 freezing trap, 2 snipes, and trying to generate this big tempo. It's mostly about sticking to the board. And so the big one that I look at is 2 Venom Strike trap that are in there. You know, you can see the Houndmaster's in hand and how important it is for him to actually just stick a minion to the board. One of the reasons that Venom Strike trap ends up working in this deck is because of how well it performs alongside Animal Companion. That 2 and 3 drop right in a row can often put your opponent in quite a tough situation.
Yeah, very well can. But it's kind of a race here for RastaFish, trying to just survive enough to be able to get to that Emerald Spellstone.
Yeah, you know, notice that RastaFish actually plays Freezing Trap here in the face of the Dire Maul, and I actually quite like this. And one of the reasons why is because if RastaFish faces down, say, a Cold Blood with a 1-drop here, he's gonna lose, and very quickly after that. Cold Blood on a 1-drop is like one of the nightmares that Hunter sees right now. If you don't have just the perfect one to go with it. The other thing too is that it has a big benefit of Hoej looking at this and not being able to figure out exactly which secret it is. RastaFish could realistically play any of them, and they all represent the same style of thing.
I mean, I would think it was Wandering Monster, and Hoej is gonna make the read that it's Wandering Monster.
Yep, and you can see him shaking his head. Honestly, that works out fairly the same. Like, if it was Wandering Monster, he basically just killed a minion, right? Yeah. So he invested into this to make sure that it wasn't Wandering Monster. And, you know, obviously he's kind of disappointed to see that it's Freezing Trap instead. That's about the same outcome, though. Mm-hmm. You don't have your Dire Maul on board. They don't have a minion on board.
Yeah.
And now Hoej sees another secret. And this deck is so powerful because it's got aggression tacked on this. It's not just like a regular Hunter deck where they're trying to survive. They're trying to just simply get ahead and then really put you to the test with damage.
Yeah, they basically just have to find Spellstone and then live long enough or not lose control of the board long enough to play it. And then from there, it's just smooth sailing. You just hit him in the face a bunch of times, maybe kill command a little bit, maybe hero
kill
power
command a little bit. Just a little bit of kill command, like 4 damage of it.
Houndmaster a little. Just a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A dash of flanking strike.
So many options.
Touch of Eagle Horn Bow. The devil. That's a pretty fantastic draw.
Just a light touch.
Job's done.
Hoej just seems like he is getting the short end of this deal.
Yeah.
I think that Hoej has, you know, played this matchup so far like very aggressively to try to fight for this board. And that's really the point that I want to make about this. This is a trend you see amongst some of the greatest players out there, is that they constantly fight tooth and nail for the board. It seems like they would sacrifice their entire hand as long as they got to go to their turn with their minion in play and their opponent not having a minion in play. Just play off the top of the deck at that point.
That's what I do all day, every day. I only play mage decks with Stargaze and Luna.
I'm getting a lot of TJ-isms today, and I love it.
So many options.
I need to write all these down and write your memoirs at some point. You know, like when you're way older, that is.
I'm pretty old now.
Well, you're not Brian Killer's age, I mean.
Actually, I'm younger than you.
It's a true story.
That's awkward.
Choose soon.
Most people are.
Admirable's like 50.
Oh yeah, he's just gonna go with everything here.
Now he's Dr. Boom.
And it was important information for Hoej to see that it wasn't a disruptive secret to the attack. But this is where things start getting tough. I'm trying to think of like the perfect card that Hoej gets from this Blink Fox. Boy, does he wish he had that second dagger charge right now.
What would it be? The perfect card.
I'm trying to actually think. I don't really know in this spot. This seems like a really tough spot.
Deathstalker Rexar.
So many options.
I don't know if that helps. I mean, it's a bunch of 3 health minions. You know, this is the reason that Hoej was fighting so aggressively for board. If he had 2 minions in the face of this, I think he would have some room to work with here. But the fact that he's only got the 1 and he knows that this is now a trap that's going to activate when he attacks one of RastaFish's minions, he's basically just in a pure race for damage at this point. And when you have Baku and a 3-cost Dire Mole, that's not a very winning race.
Choose soon.
RastaFish just gives a sly little smile there.
Didn't notice that. Well, troubles are brewing.
Well, if Hoej's next 2 draws are Leroy and Coldblood, he's got lethal over 2 turns.
Ross,
But he's just dead.
Yeah, he's just got everything. Like, what gets him out of this situation? Oh, that's a Houndmaster. This is not good. If you're Hoej, that is. RastaFish is going to take it slow because, you know what? It's not about delivering a crazy fast lethal attack here. It's just about simply restricting Hoej's ability to make board impact. As soon as that happens, he's good to go.
Yeah, Giggling Inventor is going to put a stop to this because he needs 5 attacks to even push through damage, but it's kind of just delaying the inevitable at this point. And RastaFish even has a Mossy Horror teched into his deck.
It's a really well-built list. I like what's going on here. Just a lot of disruptive stuff, and again, you have a wealth of secrets. It puts your opponent to a guessing game. I'm actually curious looking at them because it's 1 Wandering Monster, 2 Venom Strike Trap, a Snipe, a Snake Trap, 3 Trap, Explosive Trap. I wonder if Hoej, should have expected this much. And honestly, that might have been what the Coldblood was for. Coldblood might have been a disrespect to like Explosive Trap for instance. And RastaFish, he gives a shrug like, hey, sometimes.
Sometimes.
And Hoej he's gonna end up losing this one. But it's just game 1 of this set. But this is a very important match. Sitting at 3-1, this is not the stage to pick up the second loss.
Yeah, definitely not. And RastaFish started off 3-0. Looks like we're going to have ourselves a good old-fashioned Zoo Warlock mirror match.
Yeah, look, some minor differences in the lists, though. Mostly what it looks like is down to tech choices. Hoej, he's come prepared with, pair of Doom Guards and a Despicable Dreadlord. You look at RastaFish's side, there's 1 Doom Guard, no Despicable Dreadlords. He's actually only got 3 5-drops to top out this list. And the rest of it is pretty straightforward, streamlined aggression throughout. That's been one of the popular strategies that I've seen in this tournament. It's just straight up aggro lineups trying to prey on people who are doing all sorts of fancy mid-range stuff. And this mirror match is so much about the attacker's advantage that it's quite ridiculous. Honestly, like RastaFish has to really consider soul firing this Flame Imp here.
Yeah, you can't fall behind on board because there's really no comeback mechanism. RastaFish also, I think, has maybe the slight disadvantage. Actually, no, he does not.
Why doesn't he?
I was looking at the Blood Knight, but Hoej actually also has a copy of Blood Knight in his list. Kind of a necessary inclusion at this point. I think the difference being the doubling Imp for RastaFish and the Despicable Dreadlord for Hoej. Whereas Hoej only has 1 copy of doubling Imp.
Yep. And then also the Life Drinker for RastaFish. 2 copies of Life Drinker, 1 copy of Doom Guard.
Yeah, and Life Drinker's not a
stellar card.
It's not a stellar card in the mirror because you want to be fighting for board. You don't want to be swinging life totals.
This is getting ugly. Well, that helps, but
not very much.
This is going to get out of hand quite quick. if you're in RastaFish's spot. You know, it's not just about who goes first, it's who's able to actually take the board first in this setting. And, you know, while it can snowball quite quickly, there is a lot of minor decision-making that goes into this. And while it doesn't look flashy and fancy, the fact of the matter is you have to take into account all of the sequences of plays that happen, not just on the turn you're playing, but what happens on the following turn and the turn after that, and the turn after that. That's really what all the thought processes in this aggro mirror match is about.
Yeah. Hoej's really got to think through here. I think what's on his mind is, well, there's two things that could be on his mind. One is to try and guarantee that he gets a good fast target. If he was to do that, I think just playing Happy Go on the board, the next turn loading up with Serenite plus Light Warden. But he's going to go for the immediate strength on the board by coining out the Serenite Chain Gang to make sure that he can just continue to snowball a board lead. And that will get him to Funkelmancer anyway.
Yeah, it's quite tough for RastaFish to take advantage of this because he's staring down the 3-4 Boardwalker. His own Serenite Chain Gang is going to start getting farmed, and this is like a really big issue when you're sitting in RastaFish's spot. And Hoej now also has the opportunity to just pick up something massive, like a big draw right there to help stabilize the board position. Could have been lights out of this game.
Yeah, a Fungal Enchanter there would have just ended the game.
I think so, yeah. I mean, you'd be staring down like a 9-power Light Warden, another Happy Ghoul hitting the board, and all of Hoej's board being fresh.
Now he's really got to think through. If he taps and finds Voodoo Doctor, great turn. But if he taps and doesn't find anything, he's playing Light Warden, that's it.
Yeah, and I think it's just not worth it. You know, the extra cards, and you know, they can come in handy, but right now, I am very surprised by this. Like this seems like an almost suspect play to me. I just, like, two things here seems pretty good.
He could have played Happy Go Light Warden, then rolled into Funkelmancer, having almost a guaranteed target. I mean, it's unlikely that he doesn't have targets next turn for Funkelmancer, but this just makes it that much less likely. I do like fitting in taps early on when you can, if you have the lead, because that means that you don't have to spend the mana to life tap later on in the game, and you can just continue to snowball the lead that you gained earlier. But I feel like the tap could have come the turn prior, and then this turn he could have loaded up instead of the other way around.
So many possibilities.
I'm looking at RastaFish's hand, and I'm seeing a Doomguard, and there's just not much else here. You know, he's got to start taking stuff off board. And if you leave two things into going into Hoej's turn 5, that's where the Funkelmancer hits, and it's disaster. So I think that's, you know, part of what Hoej was thinking about in this turn is that it seems like he had his heart set on playing Funkelmancer, and that's why he ended up going with the Soul Infusion play, is if it only lands on one minion, he wants to just have a stronger minion in play. You know, I'm curious how that trade-off actually looks in the grand scheme of things. Because suddenly he's found himself in, you know, quite a pickle here. You know, it's quite fortunate for RastaFish he found this Doomguard on this turn. There's only one copy of it in there. But, you know, it's still a battle going on for this board. And right now I think RastaFish is, you know, minorly winning as we head into Hoej's turn. But
well, Hoej can just answer with his own Doomguard.
And that's what there's not really much that punishes Hoej for doing that. You know, even if RastaFish was to draw another Serenite Chain Gang here, he's got Funkelmancer ready to go. Yeah. That's if the Funkelmancer stays in hand, of course, though.
Yeah, the other option is Fungal Enchanter, Happy Ghoul with a life tap. That could allow him to go a little bit wider on the board, but it gives the Doomguard kind of a free trade.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it. I'm quite surprised by this. Hoej he's fighting it on an angle of just trying to get more cards than RastaFish is. This is quite interesting because this is, you know, typically pretty counterintuitive to the way that you see this matchup played.
I think it's going to end up working out for him, though, because RastaFish is just...
This is really smart.
The only thing he has left is minions that have no impact on the board.
Yeah, this gives Hoej the clean Funkelmancer turn he's looking for, and he gets to protect, you know, those bodies with the Voidwalker afterwards. And then his last card in hand's Doomguard. This is quite brilliantly thought out. You know, I'm wondering if this is just like a push for damage at this point. Doomguard in hand. Fungal Mancer hitting. I mean, he can connect for 10 damage this turn.
Yeah. I'm thinking more along the lines of trade one of the 3/3s, Voidwalker, Fungal Mancer, and then value trade.
So you want to kill the Doomguard off this turn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you have the card lead at the moment, and then you'd also have the board lead. Because if he gives his opponent a chance to counter with his own Fungal Mancer, I don't know how. That's probably what he's thinking through this turn. He's saying, what punishes me for just hitting him in the face for 10?
Is Fungal Mancer like a counter to it, though? I mean, it was just RastaFish's minions traded into Hoej's minions. He's at 7 life.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think that trading on board looks better. Like, you were in a very fantastic looking spot, you know. Pick which path you want to go. They're all pretty darn good spots for Hoej. Yeah. And a lot of it came down to the fact that he ended up going with that life tap and just found himself options.
And he actually sets up lethal this next turn anyway with this play. He's got 12 damage on the board. The Doomguard adds up to 17.
That's an excellent point.
Either way, you're essentially pushing damage because you're clearing off the board but developing more power.
Imagine that was a second Doomguard.
Yeah, because he does have the double life drinker.
Yep. 2 life drinkers, 1 Doomguard. Now, not to say that would be the one. You know, what makes that one chosen one? I don't know. 17 on board. Or rather, 12 on board, and then 5 from hand. Rosti taught me that earlier.
Yeah. And then you count the damage from your hero power, so 2 more. So 19.
Damage doesn't quite work that way.
19 damage. 17 to your opponent, 2 to yourself.
Yeah, a few more coaching sessions and you'll be there, Teach.
I really need to work on my off timing. I'm thinking hold on to Doomguard here. Tap Voodoo Doctor, Serenade Chain Gang, make some value trades, say go.
I mean, it looks like Hoej could just do whatever he wants at this point. You know, this is the position he's earned. I've just never seen a more patient man than Hoej.
Why kill your opponent now when you can kill your opponent later?
Yeah, make them agonize over it. You make them agonize over it, they'll remember it on the next game.
Miracle Draw?
I don't know.
Miracle Draw?
Nope. Yeah, that card doesn't exist. Tied up series. This all-out aggro battle between these two. You know, we talk a lot about Hoej and how
Good lineup before they settle on target this or target that.
Yeah.
And Death Rattle Hunter just boasts, I mean, some of the highest win rates on ladder. It became a flexible deck because of the additional defensive tools that it received. But I think players were just expecting more control to be in the field. They weren't expecting this many players to bring aggro.
it's been that odd warrior on ladder that has influenced a lot of that, you think?
Maybe, and they thought, well, what are the 2 decks that I'm facing on ladder a lot? And it's like Quest Rogue and Odd Warrior. And they could watch the damn way crap Quest Rogue, so let's try and target Odd Warrior.
I just think it's so cool that they're just running Crystallizer. They have no use for the armor, no use for getting damaged. They're just like,
They just want
1/3, I'll take it.
Just want another Dire Maul.
And you can see why.
Yeah.
It's pretty darn good here.
There's like a couple downsides to it. Really, the only thing I can think of is if you are sub 5 health and it's your only 1-drop and you need to activate Vile Spine Slayer.
Or what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like, that's
many
pretty much it.
options.
It's quite a rare trade-off to get a second copy of your best 1-cost minion in the deck.
Yeah, you wouldn't play Crystallizer over Dire Maul.
Unless you're just cool like that. Like if you had 2 golden ones and you didn't have any golden Dire
Too
Mauls.
soon.
I still think you wouldn't, just for that one off chance.
You know how many gold cards I craft, TJ.
I know, it's way too many.
It's way too many. Now Hoej just going to aggressively fight for the board position. You know, if he was able to restrict RastaFish from landing any significant buffs, that's pretty much how he wins. Very similar to the way that all these matchups are going to work. Fight for board relentlessly.
Yeah.
You never want to give them breathing room. Myra's Unstable Element is not really the draw Hoej is looking for right now. You know, that's pretty dead for quite some time.
For 2 turns.
Well, he's not going to cast on turn 5.
No, he is.
He's not.
I want to draw my whole deck.
If he casts it on turn 5, I'll buy you a steak dinner.
I wouldn't go down that road, my friend. Many before you have tread that path.
I just imagine getting a turn 5.
It does not end well.
He just rips the Myras instantly, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Yeah,
That's
he's not going to do it.
yeah,
Trust me.
that'd be silly.
He won't. I mean, I don't even know why you suggest a play like that. Because it's not going to happen.
Me neither.
Potential for a big swing turn here.
Yeah.
Life Drinker plus double Happy Ghoul.
Hoej has set up for, you know, one of these. In terms of one of these Happy Ghouls, you know, he's looking at this turn trying to fight against specifically Saronic Chain Gang and Life Drinker Happy Ghoul. It's the Life Drinker double Happy Ghoul where you could see Hoej kind of look up in the sky like, really? And Baku gets worst draw in the deck now. And it's time to craft Plan B because this is not working out.
Is Plan B drawing your whole deck?
No, it's not. It's probably making some sort of weird sacrifice of board tempo for a turn or so and trying to make it up with Giggling Inventor.
Oh.
So many options.
You know, because his 2 options are to do this Deadly Poison right now and fight aggressively for board, which I anticipate Hoej is going to do. But what I'm looking at is daggering up, throwing the poison on, attacking one of these minions, and then using Giggling Inventor plus the small bodies you have on board to chip away at that life total until you can get back to a more stable spot.
Ha, this guy's toast.
That's not Hoej's kind of play, though. Hoej's kind of play is kill their stuff and then kill them.
You're just kind of playing like almost a turn behind, really, at this point. Because RastaFish played 2 turns worth of stuff in 1 turn.
Turns out that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So you're about to see why Hoej has included a copy of Despicable Dreadlord in his zoo deck. It's because RastaFish is going to face down a Giggling Inventor. And if you don't have a Blood Knight, it is usually pretty tough to fight against.
Yeah, Hoej needs the follow-up to it. Gigglers are good. But you need support.
That's I like that. I wasn't really looking at that specific thing to do for RastaFish, but it makes a lot of sense in terms of trying to shut down the board pressure in this situation. You know, if he plays the Saronic Chain Gang here and leaves up that SI7 agent, he's just going to run over these Saronic Chain Gangs and still be alive.
And without the Despicable Dreadlords, it's hard for him to deal that 1 damage without trading in a whole minion for it.
Yeah.
So, not willing to give Hoej good trades at this stage because he knows that he's ahead and also just protects for his Fungal Mancer next turn. And maybe that tells Hoej something because he would just normally play Giggling Inventor here. He would just giggle all over him. But in this case, this trade gives Hoej the read that RastaFish has a Fungal Mancer because he's trying to protect you. I mean, I think he'd make that trade most of the time anyway, but the deviation here,
Wow.
makes a lot of sense.
That is a sick draw. That might be the best draw in RastaFish's deck at this point. This is now a completely uncontested board.
And holds on to the Fungler.
Yeah.
Draws a Fungler himself.
Now, if Hoej had played his his Giggling Inventor last turn, he would have gotten an almost ideal draw as well. The thing about it is, if Hoej had taken a more value-oriented stance in this game, I think his life total just would have dwindled too low. You know, you would have been looking at 6 unchecked attack on your opponent's side of the board, and that would have gone straight to the dome, I think.
Yeah.
So many options.
And now he's thinking about whether to attack now if he does have to read that card in RastaFish's hand as Fungal Mancer. Attacking now actually saves him more life total in the long run.
Yeah, and if you're going to attack in this situation in Hoej's spot, you attack the center minion. The center minion is the one that's going to get hit by a Fungal Mancer no matter what, and so that's the one you can weaken.
Choose
Yep.
He's going over a lot of iterations in that in his head to figure out the points of damage.
The left one.
Now, he might be trying to force RastaFish to actually, you know, predictably go on 2 minions, but to me this is just like, it's kind of weird. Like, maybe he sees a disadvantage to actually hitting the middle one in this situation. Like, we're somewhere down the road, that particular one being buffed is actually a detriment. That could be the case.
Well, he could dagger up next turn
I wonder.
and kill off the one of the unbuffed ones on the side that attacked into an Anoyotron. I don't know. It's a really tough decision to make, but
Not for RastaFish.
I feel
it's
like,
not.
yeah, just protect the one that got hit.
Mushroom power!
Maybe that's what Hoy's thinking, that he doesn't want to guarantee that he has a chance to put it on one that was damaged. I don't know. It's a really tough sequence, but Hoy's very far behind. Already at 17 health, and he's only playing one thing a turn because
Well,
his hand is just so chock full of expensive stuff.
I mean, he's landing a Fungal Mancer this turn.
I wonder.
Mushroom power!
I suspect some value trading. Yeah, like imagine if Hoej had played this more defensively early. He'd be at like 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd just be dead. Hoy's smart. Oh my goodness. Oh my good, that is... I mean, pick the 2 draws you want. Those are them.
I mean, that's perfect mana usage, too.
Those are the 2 literal ideal draws in RastaFish's deck right now. And if Hoej does not draw a minion here,
Blood
Well-
Knight is something, but Blood Knight, Vilespine Slayer,
well, the thing about it is that RastaFish is out of cards, right? He's operating off those 2 cards a turn now for life tap. If Hoej can find a second Giggling Inventor and then find anything for value, really, or anything that fights for board, I think he's got a chance. And especially because RastaFish missed a beat here. Now, he's only got 1 minion to play.
this is just jam Baku time.
I'm curious if it's use your life total here too. I mean, you know, dagger into the 4/1, trade the Blood Knight over the 3/3, play Baku. But Hoy's thinking about what that card in RastaFish's hand is right now. What card did he draw that he wouldn't have played this turn?
But it was only 2 mana. I guess he had 6 mana before the Life Drinker, but he opted not to play it. There's not too many high-value minions left. He's played both Serenite Chain Gangs. He only has he has 2 Doubling Imps, so.
You're looking at 1 Fungal Enchanter, 1 Doubling Imp, a second Life Drinker, a Doom Guard, a Fungal Mancer. Pretty much everything else would have been played. So it's one of those cards.
So many options.
Blood Knight as well.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, do any of those cards have impact on the board is the question Hoy's got to ask himself. You know, is he in such a desperate situation that he's going to have to do it this way? I think so. You play Baku, you hope to not take damage, your Myra's unstable, and hope that you got the gas to finish. Oh boy.
And this looks like it's the end of the road for Hoy, unless he can pick up the second
Giggling Inventor.
The Giggler. I mean, he can draw the rest of his deck,
Yeah,
but
it's
then he's
Myra's
starting to
time.
take fatigue damage, but he doesn't really have an option here.
You got a 7/8 on board. And if you draw Giggling Inventor, you have things in the way. Always counting the damage in deck right now, too. Is there any way that this gets done? Say he drew the actual ideal cards, both Cold Bloods, the other South Sea deckhand.
Well, he may be trying to think, does he have one more turn before he can Myra's? Both Soulfires are gone. There's only 1 Doomguard in the deck. Both Life Triggers has been used, so it's only Doomguard that deals direct damage.
I don't think it's a risk worth taking. I think right now you look at this and you go, I have 2 turns to end this game. Better Myra's.
Yeah.
I think Hoy was looking at, should I play the South Sea deckhand first for the extra card?
It's only a 50-50 if he picks up the Giggler. There it
There's
is.
Giggling Inventor.
And
that-
Leroy plus double Cold Blood.
Cold Blood.
I'm out of cards.
Wow, that is huge. And so now Hoej's trying to think through the deck list from RastaFish. Is there anything in there that would stop this push? Saronite Chain Gang, number 2. Has that been, have they both been
Both
played?
have been played.
Then I believe that's the end of this game. I don't think there's anything RastaFish can do to get out of this. Even after the open and after the ideal draws, Hoej fought tooth and nail for board, hangs on by a thread.
He just missequenced that. I don't think there's a reason not to play that. You only have one. Unless he's going for exactly Fungalmancer, but that wouldn't even make a difference in that situation. And that is going to be it. Even with just Leroy 1 Cold Blood, that's enough. I am flabbergasted.
And honestly, the Odd Rogue has the advantage in this matchup most of the time. It's the fact that they have the upgraded hero power with Dagger. 2 damage on the attack fights so well for board against what Zoom presents you, but he was in such a dangerous spot for so long.
Yeah.
And it looked like he wasn't going to get there. But then Myra's unstable.
Development. There's going wide and there's going tall. Going wide means you make a large board of small minions, whereas going tall means you make a smaller board but with very large minions. And against Token Druid, because of Spreading Plague, you kind of want to go tall, especially as Zoo Warlock. You want to make a few medium-sized minions or a few large minions, so it reduces the likelihood that your opponent can blow you out of the game with Spreading Plague, Soul of the Forest, and force you to make multiple attacks to kill single minions, which means they get value out of cards like Branching Paths, Soul of the Forest, and Savage Roar. And having just double 6/6s on turn 3.
Is that good?
It's pretty darn good.
I thought you were just going to say that RastaFish is going to do both. 'Cause that's what he's going to do. He's going to go tall and wide at the same time. Soul Infusion, this is I think one of the coolest cards from the new set, because it makes you think about how you mulligan sometimes. You know, maybe you keep particular cards because they're in the right spot in your hand. Like, that's such a weird thing in a card game that I've never had to think about. And Soul Infusion changing that, like, RastaFish has a 3-mana 6/6 that makes another 6/6 waiting in hand with this mechanism. I'm going to find it pretty tough for Hoej to beat 2 Edwin Van Cleefs at the same time.
Yeah. Now, RastaFish did take a risk. He kept Soul Infusion and doubling it, but he had a very high likelihood of getting a different minion in the far left, because doubling Imp was the 3rd card, so Soul Infusion would have been to the left of it, whatever minion he picked up. But having that double is just a huge blood in the early game. Hoej's lucky enough to where RastaFish didn't have a minion to contest the 3/2 Panther. He was able to get a value trade over it. Yeah, Flame Imp would have been ideal in that situation. But now Hoej has to just put faith in this Whispering Woods and hope that it gets there. But he does have a lot of buffs in hand with Savage Roar and Power of the Wild still there, plus Branching Paths to follow up.
I was just about to mention that. You know, his one hope of getting out of this game is really just, you know, picking up more damage. In this spot right here, he's representing an additional 14 with just a single Savage Roar. So RastaFish, you know, very much unlike how he wants to right now, finds himself needing to fight for the board position.
I feel like that should have came first, but I guess it wouldn't have changed the play that he made.
Well, that is something to note, is that RastaFish is, you know, he played this turn pretty quickly, and that is very much out of order. Like, he should be using the Solarium first to find those extra cards, because they're gone at the end of the turn. If he doesn't use them, they're discarded. Just instantly traded.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the deck that could have changed the way you played that turn? Perhaps.
Also, you know, is Solarium the right choice there? Because he had 3 mana remaining. And that's utilizing the coin as well. So was he hoping to find Voidwalker specifically? Because that's the only card.
Really.
I mean, that's the only card you would ever use in that situation, right?
Yeah, the thing about it is he just wants to make sure that he's playing 2 things in that turn. Like, that's like the most important thing for him.
Also, I guess if he's going to Doomguard next turn, it's going to be discarded anyway.
Yeah, it's like 1 of 2 things. He's either going to play Doomguard next turn, or Hoej's going to play Giggling Inventor, and he's going to use that Blood Knight he has in hand.
Yeah.
It's one of those 2 situations. So, you know, it works out for him, but that turn was very quick. And it's when you start making those little small missteps and not checking yourself with them, that snowballs. You start making other small little mistakes. Oh, we're going to take the time just to try and clean this up. That is a costly cleanup.
But he took nearly 0 damage from that gigantic push that RastaFish made.
Yeah, RastaFish sees what's going on here and goes, well, there's no evidence that he would have. He doesn't have Giggling Inventor right now. You know, that's a turn that Hoej could have very easily done with Giggling Inventor in hand. So
Yeah.
I like that he didn't just slam the Doom Guard here and go nuts. Wait another turn. You know, even if your opponent didn't have Giggling Inventor, maybe there's a chance they draw it, and because it's so powerful, they just slam it on the board. You know, Doom Guard's going to be good at pretty much any point that RastaFish plays at this game. Why not get some extra cards in the meantime?
Yeah. This is going to be a test of how much Hoej respects the Blood Knight. Because Giggling Inventor seems like a perfect way to soften up the board to make swipe that much more juicy.
That's the thing, you know, let's just say that Hoej does go with swipe in this spot, though. Say he swipes and he Spellstones, clears off the board. He's like, you know what? I am very concerned with Fungal Mancer. I don't want that to happen. I'm going to make RastaFish keep life tapping. And then when I have something to play alongside the Giggling Inventor, that's when I'll play it. You know, say next turn with a 3-2 or maybe bumping up the minions.
Yeah.
I think that Hoej's options just look strong right now. Just ramping. Killing this off. That buffs the Spellstone as well, correct?
Indeed, it does, because that's the third hero power that he's used so far this game.
Yeah, so now he conserves the swipe, and he has Giggling Inventor to go right alongside it. And now RastaFish, when he sees a turn like this is a spot where you look at it and you go, man, there's almost no way that they have Giggling Inventor at this point. He's still going to continue to play it patient.
It's playtime.
You know, I'm actually quite impressed with how disciplined RastaFish has been this game. I would have slammed that Doom Guard so fast.
It would still be pushing damage right now.
Well, Hoej would have played Giggling Inventor at that point, and there would have been no Blood Knight.
It would have been no Blood
You know,
Knight.
RastaFish is holding the Doom Guard as backup, saying, this is my damage from hand right now. If Hoej finds Giggling Inventor, I get to punish that. I think it's quite smart to just, you know, continue to press the issue here. If Hoej's trading 1 for 1, you know, 2 cards a turn is going to beat that.
Yeah. But now Hoej is struggling to find other plays besides play Giggling Inventor at the moment.
You know, I could see him going with like Branching Pass, just armoring up a lot in this spot to buy him time to Ultimate Infestation, then use the cards afterwards.
Yeah.
But it is really tough to not play Giggling Inventor in this spot. Although, admittedly, I think Power of the Wild looks fairly reasonable in this spot.
Time waits for no one.
I think this buys him more time than doing, you know, not Giggling Inventor, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, is he going plus attack? Oh, this is smart.
So Blood Knight does come down. It's going to force all of these minions to attack in. RastaFish would be left with just the Blood Knight plus whatever else RastaFish could develop. Always thinking, hopefully he can contest with Ultimate Infestation.
Wow, man.
Whoa. So he's just developing Blood Knight.
Glory to the Sindora.
You know, just developing Blood Knight, but that's pretty good. 9-9. But the problem is he just really hasn't made headway on Hoej at this stage. And now it's, you know, Hoej gets to start using his version of Life Tap, which is like inverse Life Tap. It damages your opponent's stuff and gains you health.
Yeah. But Hoej's made it past that hump with 28 health.
Yeah, this is going to be rough for RastaFish. Spreading Plague, Malfurion joins the party.
Soul of the Forest. I mean, a wealth of options coming up, and even if RastaFish manages to deal with, if he plays Doomguard to try and kill off this 5/5 to protect his Blood Knight, it's still just going to die to the swipe. And I like playing around swipe just a little bit by trading in the 2/1. Does miss that 2-pointed damage though, and how valuable is that 2 damage onto the ghoul? I don't know, maybe I like pushing face and saying, if you have swipe, I don't care. I'd rather have the 2 damage than 2 damage to your ghoul.
Well, Spreading Plague, I think, is, you know, one of the big issues too.
Spreading Plague also.
You get a double benefit from it.
But
Now,
if your opponent's playing Spreading Plague, are you going to win the game anyway?
I think you have a lot better chance to win it here than if you had a 2-1 on board.
True.
You know, that's an extra 5 health you got to chew through at the cost of dealing your opponent 2 points of damage. You know, that 2 damage that would have gone face you know, ends up being -3 in this instance.
-3 is not a lot of damage.
No, it's negative damage. You know, and then you look at where this this 5/5 from the Ultimate Infestation is going to sit. It's looking like it's a lot easier to take care of. You know, this buff here, it means it dives to the other Star Knight Chain Gang body.
Kel'Seth coming a little bit late.
Well, you know, this was the turn for RastaFish, I think, to Star Knight Chain Gang Doomguard, start shipping face. But you draw Kel'Seth and you start thinking to yourself, ooh, do I need this buff to win the game?
Kel'Seth, Doomguard, and Life Tap, but that's much less board development than Star Knight Chain Gang Doomguard, and give up the buff.
Yeah, I mean, Star Knight's like just such a crucial card right now.
Yeah.
How long can this go
I think he's got a Doomguard. And honestly, this is probably push time.
Yeah, at this point, Violet Teacher is not a liability, but it makes Spreading Plague much harder to use because you're guaranteed to have one less
Oh boy.
Scarab.
There's just so many defensive options for Hoej at this point. You know, like Giggling Inventor, Soul of the Forest is totally fine. Malfurion. Start hacking away at this board. That's totally fine. Hoej is just in such a fantastic spot.
Yeah, Malfurion plus the
Deceitful
hero
control.
power just allows Hoej to kill everything and isolate the Doomguard in the face of taunts.
2/1/5 taunts, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, you could make poisons.
He can make
too.
poisons. I would be very okay with poisons.
RastaFish just doesn't have a way to actually punish poisons right now, but I think Hoej is more interested in protecting the Violet Teacher.
Yeah.
Wow, Hoej just he feels like he's behind the whole game, and then right at the end, he just pulls way ahead.
Yeah. Now, RastaFish does find, I mean, Life Tracker's not the best tool to fight for board, but finds Soulfire with an empty hand, so. But look at this resource advantage that Hoej has. I mean,
Yeah.
he could just do anything he wants here
Is
and
it
start pushing
really Violet
damage.
Teacher here?
He could do anything.
I'm really surprised he's not just slamming Giggling Inventor and suiting him up with Soul of the Forest and then just killing RastaFish on the next turn 100% guaranteed because there's nothing left of the deck list that checks that.
He could Spreading Plague for 1 token
It's a true story.
and then armor up.
that
And
would
probably still win because he has another Spreading Plague and a Soul of the Forest and a Giggling Inventor
Yeah.
still in his hand.
And honestly, this was because of the Nourish turn where he ramped the mana.
Yeah.
Instead, it unlocked so many key defensive tools for him that he was able to just watch RastaFish plop stuff on the board and go, I don't really care.
Yeah. But RastaFish looks like he's going to
Yeah.
tap out. Hoej takes the series.
Wow.
4-1 for him as RastaFish, despite that 3-0 start, has taken 2 losses.